Hello and welcome back. All right, in this video we're going to get into using some of our sketch constraints and creating some parametric and parameter relationships within a sketch inside of Inventor. So I've got a brand new part opened up here. First thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to go in, start a new sketch, and I'm just going to go in and draw a triangle. Now this triangle isn't constrained in any way. There's no dimensions. We haven't set those yet on it. The first thing I want to point out to you while we're here in the sketch is down here in the bottom right hand corner. We can see down there that Inventor is telling us that we still need 6 dimensions before this sketch is fully locked down and fully constrained. I'm going to go in, before I start adding in any dimensions, is start defining my triangle with my sketch constraints. Now, if you look up here at this little block, we're right next to our dimension command, are all of our constraints that we can apply to our geometric features inside of a sketch. And we've looked at a few of these in previous videos, but we're going to take a look at most of these here. So we have a coincident, we have collinear, we have concentric, parallel, perpendicularity, horizontal, vertical, tangent, equal, symmetry, and smooth. And they all have to deal with the relationships between two different sketched pieces of geometry inside of our sketch. So for example, perpendicularity. It's going to make 2 lines perpendicular to one another. Same with parallelism. It's going to make 2 lines parallel to one another. Tangent will make 2 objects tangent to one another, one being a curve. So you kind of get the idea. These are all relationships that we've learned about in previous math classes of our life, most likely in geometry class. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to go in because I want the bottom of my triangle to be exactly horizontal, and I want my right-hand side of my triangle to be exactly vertical. So I'm going to go in with my horizontal constraint first, and you'll notice that as I'm selecting it, it does give me a preview line of where it's going to make this horizontal. Right now, it looks normal. It's making it a line from left to right on my screen. Depending on what you're sketching on or how your view is rotated, you might have to flip-flop using the horizontal or vertical constraint. So always pay attention to that little preview line that pops up. So I'm going to go ahead and click, and you'll notice as soon as I do that, it makes that line perfectly horizontal. Now I'm going to go back in here and use my vertical and make this side perfectly vertical. Now, when I escape out of those commands, you'll notice that the little symbols disappear that were just floating around those pieces of geometry. If I go down here and I click on one of those lines, I can see that that horizontal constraint has been applied to it. Also notice, though, that we've got these little orange rectangles or dots at the end of our line right there as well. Those represent the coincident constraint. Now, the coincident constraint is a point-to-point constraint or entity-to-entity constraint. So if I were to pick a line and then pick another line, they're going to attach them together, depending on where I select it. Or if I pick a point to another point, it will attach them. So it's a very direct constraint. And we typically see them at the ends of our geometries when we sketch them out and connect them. But if I need to, for whatever reason, go through and delete out a constraint, all I have to do is select the piece of geometry that it's on. And you'll notice if I hover over it, it selects it for me. And I can click on that, left click on that symbol. Then if I right click, it gives me the option to delete it. I don't want to delete it, so I'm just going to back up out of that. But if you ever need to delete a constraint that may have accidentally been added in there, that's how you do it. Okay, so I've got my triangle drawn here. I'm just going to go ahead and start throwing some dimensions on there. So let's make this bottom leg here an 1.5 inches. And let's define my angle between my two lines there as, let's say 30 degrees. Now, I want you to take a moment and look at the bottom right of my screen. As I've added in dimensions and constraints, you'll notice that that number has decreased. So I went from 6 down to 2 now. If we want to think of it, I did a horizontal constraint, a vertical constraint, a 1.5 inch length tied into that bottom edge, and then my 30-degree angle tied in between my two edges here. So now I need 2 more. And the big thing in Inventor and really any parametric modeling system is that we always want to tie our base sketch back into the origin. That's where the 2 dimensions are coming from. It wants to know exactly how far away in the X and the Y direction my object is located. Now, the easy way to get into that and to solve that issue is just to go in and add some dimensions directly to it. It works, it's basic, it's a little messy. Personally, I don't like this method, just because I'm adding in extra dimensions that I may not necessarily need or really care about in my design. So I'm going to undo that. The other way that we can do this, and the one that I typically suggest to people starting out, is just to start your sketch there at the origin. But if you forget, we can always come up and use a coincident constraint and just tie it back to that origin point. So if I grab my endpoint down here, where my two edges meet, pick that center, you'll notice it moves it there and it locks it down. That's also the neat thing about constraints, is sometimes we can eliminate the need for 2 dimensions by using 1 constraint. Because if you think about it, that corner is now tied to the origin. So I technically have a X dimension of 0 and a Y dimension of 0. So there's my 2 dimensions that I needed. Personally, again, I'm not a big fan of doing this myself. Mainly because I like to use my origin planes that are over here later on in assemblies to help me constrain them inside of an assembly. So typically, what I'll do is I'll go in, and sometimes you'll see me do these in the videos, I'll just go in and create a construction line between my pieces, and then constrain that construction line to my origin point. And so, easy way to do that is if I select my geometry, right click, I've got construction right there. And it'll make it into that yellow dashed line. And then from here, I can constrain the midpoint of my construction line to the origin. Now, instead of always going up here to my ribbon, there is a shortcut for accessing your constraints here in the modeling space. So if you hold down the Control key and right click while you're in a sketch, it will bring up all of your sketch constraints. And so I'm just going to use coincident. I'm going to grab the center point there and click on my piece there. This one isn't exactly centered, so I may have not done this, but it's a way to show you an easy way of how you center parts up. So moving on, let's imagine that this is a gusset that I'm going to make, and I want to add a hole to it somewhere. So I'm just going to go in, add a circle. And you'll notice after adding that in, I went from fully constrained to now I need 3 dimensions in order to fully constrain this sketch. Those 3 dimensions, if you haven't guessed, are size, of my circle, where the circle is located in the x direction, or sorry, the y direction, and where it's located in the x direction. So we have 3 dimensions that we need to tie in a hole to make sure that it's fully constrained. Because if we don't, you can see I can easily just click and drag on that feature, or click on it and resize it and move it around, which is something we don't want to happen in our part. We want to be precise. So I'm going to go in, add a dimension. That's close to the 3/8. Let's do 0.375. Well, that's kind of big. Let's change it to 0.25. So I have a 1/4 inch hole there. Now, say I want to have it on my part. All I have to do is go in and add in my dimensions to locate it. Do right there. And once I get those in there, you'll notice I'm back to that fully constrained state inside of my sketch. But say we want this location of the hole to be dynamic with my part, so that if I go in and change my length here, or change the length here, that it updates and stays where I want it to be. And how we do that is by using the parameters inside of other dimensions. So using parametric relationships like we talked about in the lecture video. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead, come in and delete those out. First things first, I want to show you where the parameters are located inside of Inventor and for our sketch. This little f of x icon up here is our parameters. Now, you may not have it up there. So if you don't have it on that very top toolbar, what you'll want to do is go in and click on that double arrow and find your parameters up here in this menu. So down here, make sure that it's checked. If it's checked, it will appear up here. So if you click on that, let me resize this. There we go. You'll see that it's got dimension D0, D1, and D2. So all those dimensions that I put in are located here. And anytime I want to use those, all I have to do is type in that parameter name, or if I want to change it, I can just click on it and change it to something that's a little bit easier to remember. But I can use those inside other dimensions. So I'm going to hit done there and say I want this hole to always be 1/3 of my overall length of my leg here from this edge. So I can actually click on that dimension and then say divide by 3. Hit enter. And you'll notice that dimension now has an f of x in front of it. So it's letting me know that it is a function of a formula. So it's spitting out 1/2 of an inch. So 1.5 divided by 3 is 1/2 an inch. Say I want to do something similar in the other direction. Well, that's going to require me to have a dimension here. So I'm going to go ahead and add that dimension in. But you'll see I have an error pop up. If you guessed, oh, you really didn't need that dimension, you're over-dimensioning it, you would be correct. So anytime I try to over-dimension something, it will come in and give me a warning saying that, hey, if you create this dimension, that it's going to be driven, or a reference dimension. It's not going to be real because you don't need it to constrain the sketch. So I'm going to go ahead and hit accept, and you'll see here that it is 0.866 inches long, but it's also got those parentheses around it, letting me know it's a reference dimension. So again, from our lecture, remember that these actually don't control anything in our sketch. They're not constraining anything. They're strictly there for informational purposes. So if I click on that sketch to try and edit, you'll notice I can't. It's all grayed out. Can't type anything over it. So just remember that whenever you're placing your sketches down and you see one of those, remember it's not really affecting anything. Good thing is we can use those though for dimensional purposes if we need to plug in a formula, which is exactly what I'm going to do for locating this hole. I'm going to say, hey, I want it to be always halfway between or centered on this edge. So I'm going to click there, divide by 2, hit OK, and there we go. It locates it halfway through. And the only problem is our hole is a little oversized. So let's cut that down to 0.125. There we go. But yeah, that is how we can constrain our sketches down and use our parameters in different ways to help us draw out and locate or even size our features inside of Inventor and really any parametric CAD program. So take what you use here, apply it, make your sketches even better. And as always, be inventive.